I think it's better if you don't come this year." At first, I thought I misheard her. I pressed my phone tighter to my ear, staring out at the snow-covered street. "What?" I asked, almost laughing. "Are you serious?" There was a long pause. Then Mom's voice, tight and deliberate, "We all talked about it. Me, your brothers, Aunt Jo, and we just feel like your energy isn't good for the holiday. You bring tension." Tension. The word rang in my ears like a slap. I had already bought the plane ticket. I'd already sent ahead the presents for my nieces and nephews. The same nieces and nephews whose birthday parties I never missed, whose school fees I quietly helped cover behind the scenes. And now, I wasn't welcome. No warning. No discussion. Just a sentence tossed like garbage, "We all agreed." As if I were a problem. A burden. An outsider. And the house they wanted to ban me from. It was still in my name. Still being paid for by me. They had no idea what they were standing on. But they were about to find out. It hadn't always been this way. When Dad first collapsed in the backyard, clutching his chest while Mom screamed for help, I was the one who dropped everything. I quit my job in the city, broke my lease, and moved back into the guest room I thought I'd left behind for good. My brothers. They showed up for the hospital selfie and disappeared the next day. Family emergency was a valid excuse to leave work until the real responsibility set in. I cooked his meals. I changed his dressings. I helped him walk again. And when the bills started piling up, I stepped in, quietly. The mortgage, the utilities, the late car payments. All handled from my account. No one ever asked. No one ever offered. Mom was too proud to get a job, too overwhelmed to ask her sons. So I made it easy for everyone. It was never about credit. I didn't want applause. I did it for Dad. But the moment he passed, everything shifted. It started small, being left out of dinner plans, sudden, technical issues, on family calls, group chats that went oddly silent whenever I messaged. Then came Thanksgiving. I arrived with 2 pies, only to find the table already full, no plate set for me. Mom blinked at me like she forgot I existed. "We didn't think you were coming," she said casually, even though I confirmed twice. That night, I drove home in silence. Something had changed. I wasn't just excluded, I was being erased. And then came the final blow. The phone call, 2 weeks before Christmas. "We all agreed, you're not welcome this year." Not I decided. We, all of them. Together. Like I was some stain they'd been quietly trying to scrub out. They thought I'd cry. They thought I'd beg to be included. Instead, I looked at the auto draft schedule on my banking app, the one that sent $2.100 to their mortgage lender on the 1st of every month, and I hit cancel. If I wasn't part of the family, then the house wasn't my problem anymore. They always underestimated me. To them, I was the quiet one. The helper. The one who never made trouble. I was never the golden child, that was always Michael, with his shiny job title and fake charm. I wasn't the favorite that was Thomas, with his kids and perfect family Christmas cards. I was the background. The one who stayed late to wash the dishes, who slipped money into Mom's purse without a word when she forgot to pay the electric bill. But Dad saw me. I remember the day he added me to the deed. It was just after his second hospital stay. I was refilling his prescription, and he looked at me, really looked. "They're not built for hard times," he said softly. "But you are." I blinked, unsure what he meant. "I need to make sure your mother doesn't lose the house if something happens to me. And I trust you to protect it, not the boys." He signed the papers the next day. We never told the others. After he died, I didn't make a scene. I didn't wave the deed in anyone's face. I let them believe what they wanted, that it was Mom's house, that I was just some spinster daughter, with nowhere else to go. They laughed about me behind my back. I heard them. Thomas once called me, our family's emotional support wallet. And I played along. Let them laugh. Let them forget. Because power is quiet until it isn't. The payments came out of my account. The title was in my name. The foundation under their feet belonged to the woman they just voted out of Christmas dinner. They thought I was weak. They didn't realize I was holding everything up. It took exactly 34 days after I stopped the payments for reality to reach them. I got the first message from my mom. There's some letter from the bank. It looks serious. Can you check on it? I left it unread. By week 6, she called me 6 times in one day. I didn't pick up. Then came the voicemail from Thomas, you need to stop playing games. This is Mom's house. She's freaking out. Games. I hadn't made a move. I had simply stepped away. They were the ones who chose to cut me out. In their minds, I was just being dramatic. Surely I'd cave, like I always had. But this time, I didn't blink. And behind the scenes, the damage was spreading. The mortgage company sent a second notice, then a default warning, then a lien. Turns out, Mom had been using that house as collateral. She'd refinanced it twice with my steady payment history as her safety net. Now that net was gone. The entire structure of their stability, from her comfort to my brother's inheritance expectations, was starting to crack. Aunt Jo called me, pretending to check in. Your mom's under a lot of stress, she said sweetly. It's Christmas. Maybe it's time to let go of the grudge. I almost laughed. Let go. They exiled me from the family like I was a parasite. They didn't realize I was the spine. And when that spine walked away, the whole system started to buckle. The bank wasn't calling me, they were calling her. Because I had done the responsible thing months ago, I'd legally severed my liability from the mortgage, but left the title intact. It was now a house that she lived in, they claimed as theirs but I still owned. And they were running out of time. They thought silence meant surrender. But silence can also mean preparation. While they spiraled, scrambling to call banks, unearth documents, and dig through old assumptions, I was calmly collecting receipts. 8 years of mortgage statements. Bank transfers, utility bills, tax payments. I even had emails from Dad, where he thanked me for keeping the roof over their heads. I compiled everything into a neat, color-coded document. Then I contacted a real estate lawyer. Hypothetically, I said, if someone owned half a home and had paid the entire mortgage themselves, what are their options? She didn't even blink. We'd file for a forced sale. If the other owner can't buy you out, the house goes on the market. Simple. Legal. Clean. I smiled. By the time I emailed my family, everything was ready. Subject, next steps for the house. Hi Mom, given the current payment delinquency, I'm no longer comfortable being tied to the property. I'm willing to transfer full ownership in exchange for reimbursement of my mortgage contributions. You'll find the full breakdown attached. Total due, $207,480.63. I kept the tone polite. Professional. Cold, because kindness was mistaken for weakness. This was clarity. Thomas replied in under 10 minutes, full of rage, are you insane? You expect Mom to pay you over 200 grand. For something you did, out of love. I didn't reply. Love doesn't mean letting someone bury you. Love has limits, and mine had been crossed. They didn't realize, this wasn't a tantrum. This was an invoice. And if they didn't pay, I'd let the system I used to shield them become the same one that removed them. They had made it clear I wasn't family anymore. So I acted like any reasonable ex-benefactor would. They scheduled a family Zoom call. Subject, let's talk about this like adults. I almost didn't join. But something in me wanted to see their faces when I said it out loud. When I logged in, they were already waiting. Mom, tight-lipped in her robe. Thomas, pacing. Michael, pretending to be neutral. Mom started with a sigh. We've had a tough year, all of us. I know emotions are running high, but this vendetta of yours isn't helping anyone. Vendetta? I said quietly. You mean the mortgage I stopped paying after being told I wasn't welcome in the house I was funding? Michael cut in. You're blowing this way out of proportion. Mom's grieving, the family's grieving. I raised a hand. I've attached the deed and full payment records to this call's chat. You can all review them. Click. Upload complete. They fell silent. No one moved. I continued, calmly. Dad added me to the deed after his second stroke. He told me, they're not built for hard times. But you are. I didn't ask for it. I didn't brag. I just paid the bills while the rest of you got to pretend everything was taken care of. Thomas muttered, so what now? You evict Mom. You throw her out into the snow. I looked straight into the camera. I offered her a fair exit. If she wants to buy me out, she can. If not, we proceed with a forced sale. I'm not throwing her out. The mortgage company will. I just stopped standing between her and the consequences. Mom's voice broke. Your father would be ashamed of you. That hurt. But I didn't let it show. No, I said. He'd be ashamed of what you let this family become after he died. The screen froze for a second. No one had a comeback. Not even Thomas. That was the real shift. They weren't angry anymore. They were scared, not of me, but of what they'd built on sand, now crumbling without its quiet foundation. In the end, they had no choice. The house went on the market 6 weeks later. Mom never replied to the invoice, never tried to negotiate. She simply packed her things and left in silence, just like she had silenced me. Thomas sent a one-line email the day the sale closed, hope you're happy. I didn't reply. Because this was never about happiness. It was about truth, boundaries, and dignity. The sale netted a solid return. After fees and back payments, I walked away with just under $180,000. More than money, it was confirmation. All those years I spent feeling invisible. I wasn't weak. I was essential. And now, they knew it too. I bought a cottage in a small town 2 hours away. Quiet, with enough room for a garden and a dog. For the first time in years, I decorated for Christmas. Not because I had to. Because I wanted to. And then, just 2 days before Christmas, I got a letter. A real one. From Mom. 3 pages, handwritten. She didn't apologize, not really, but she said something I never expected. Your father told me what he did. He said if anything ever happened to him, you were the one who would do the right thing, even if it hurt. I guess he was right. At the bottom, she wrote, you were always stronger than all of us. I just never wanted to admit it. I folded the letter and placed it in a box labeled keep. Not out of sentiment, but as a reminder, strength doesn't need to shout. It just needs to last. They told me I wasn't welcome. So I built a life where I didn't need to ask for permission. And the irony. Now, they're the ones circling on the outside, wondering if I'll ever let them back in.